The John LeBang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John LeBang Show.
Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. The best of Banger is headed your way. Welcome, folks. Thank you for joining me this hour. As we're attempting to get this studio in order, and because we're unable to really broadcast with the new equipment yet on a regular basis, we're going to bring you a special broadcast. In this first segment, we go back to 2016, just days after the election. And I want you to listen to what I said, because I told you what was going to happen in the 2018 elections way back in November of 2016. From episode 187, take a listen. I'm seeing too many people not understanding how this country actually works and how they want to change things in this country because, well, they have some sour grapes. By the way, I'm probably going to get kicked off at least one radio station real soon. I have a feeling I'm going to. Just because I have a different view of what is going on in this country. And I don't want to, shake up the entire Constitution just to, just so socialists can run the country. I'm kind of opposed to that. But the big thing going on right now, ladies and gentlemen, outside of the nice little staged riots, George Soros-funded riots that are happening, hopefully those calm down right around Thanksgiving, right through Christmas. They might not, but maybe they will, because those people get hungry pretty soon, and maybe that $1,500 or whatever they're getting paid to stand out there and chant will suffice. But the people who are joining in that movement, that artificial manufactured movement there, the other people that are joining in, they probably will go home because they're going to get hungry. Unless they get that welfare check. And that's what I think this is about, welfare checks and, Anyway, so I want to get to this thing that's been going around Facebook and the Twitter, and it's we got to get rid of the Electoral College now, because that is just not fair, because it's not one man, one vote. Because I guess your vote doesn't count in your state with that mindset. Most people don't understand that the 50 states are supposed to be 50 separate entities under one umbrella. In other words, one protective umbrella. Militarily, if somebody attacks Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin, come to their aid. That's what that's about, but it's been changed over time. The idea of the 50 states, where there are people who think all 50 states. These are people who want the nation, the Washington D.C., which is not a state in the Union. It's a foreign entity. It is under the protection of the United States and its Constitution, but it is a foreign power. It is not one of the 50 states. Under these United States, not the corporation known as the United States. Big difference. Act of 1782, I believe. Go check that one out. The purpose of the Electoral College is to protect smaller states, the minority. It's to protect those states from being controlled by states with giant populations. For terms of discussion, we're going to use California because that's the largest state in the union, would have all the control over states like Delaware and Connecticut and New Hampshire if you went to a non-electoral college situation. And the people who are touting that you need one man, one vote do not understand that when you take out the Electoral College, your vote becomes even smaller. Because instead of being in a state where you have, let's say, 800,000 people, and you're one vote out of 800,000 people, and that determines how your state sends its electoral votes. Now you're one in, I don't know what the number was for voting, but I think it was like 180 million, 190 million, maybe 200 million people voted. I don't think it was that high, but it was really close. So you'd rather be 1 in 200 million, which makes your vote this big, over the fact that you're 1 in 800,000, which gives you a little bit bigger voice. The argument should be that you split your state's electoral votes on how the state vote goes. Instead of all for one, winner take all, instead of that situation. Do like Maine does. I like the idea of Maine. I think they have 4. They gave 3 to Clinton and 1 to Trump. That at least everybody's semi-represented that way in your state, and the electoral votes get split better that way. I could see a change in your own state if you want to change your state's constitution to reflect that. But to want to change all 50 states because you have sour grapes that your candidate didn't win this time, the true nature of the Electoral College is to protect these smaller states, is to protect the one vote. Maybe in your state, if you want your vote, your electoral votes to represent the balance of your state better, go in and change the constitution of your state to split the vote somehow. Come up with some way, 60-40, maybe whatever the variance, you do the same variance in the electoral votes. There's nothing stopping you from doing that in your state. But to want to affect all 50 states, especially since you only live in one of those 50 states, technically you can only be in one of those states. I know people have homes in different states, and they use that to give them an extra vote, and they use absentee ballots and stuff like that. But, those are things. If you lived in another state, and now say you were living in Washington, and now you're living in Michigan, and you were a voter in Washington, you might want to check to see if somebody didn't use your vote this past election, because there has been a lot of voter fraud. Mm-hmm. In fact, there might have been 5 states that were really close that looked like there was some cheating going on, and they actually went in the blue category in the end. But we don't want to get into that because we'll offend somebody here and there over maybe because they don't think there was cheating ever on their side. There's cheating in the elections on both sides, all sides. That's what they do. The election is always rigged one way or the other. The media picks a bias. So in that regards, it's rigged there because the news is going to always reflect the bias. That's why I tell people to come to my show. Come here. because we don't have a bias for Republicans or Democrats. We hate them all. So we're going to give you the best information we have. See, I like avoiding the words truth and change and those kind of things because they're just words that one man's truth is another man's lie. I give you information here. I'm the real info warrior. And so are a lot of other people just like me. Because I'm not taking the credit for giving you all the information and I'm ahead of everything. I'm ahead of everything because I listen to people. And the people who listen to me, I also shuttle them over to the people. Just like you, when you're sharing information to your friends, you're helping the person who put out that information originally. So you're shuffling information. So that's why people like Alex Jones have gotten so huge in the past decade. It's because a lot of people follow that man and they share his information. And they help Alex Jones get bigger. And that people who share the information that I get, and I get my information through a few sources. I don't have the inside sources or as many inside sources as the Alex Joneses and those people, the people at CNN, yet I'm still ahead of the curve on all the mainstream media. They got the entire, they had all you people who were voting for Hillary. They tricked you all into thinking she was going to win. And they were trying to depress the vote on the other side. And in fact, I think it backfired on them. And I think there were a lot of people who were on the fence. Maybe we're going to sit out. We're like, shit, we can't let Hillary win because she's going to win. It looks like she's going to win. And those people went to vote for Trump. Look at the electoral map, you people who do not like the electoral process. States are red, 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 red. Most of the states went Trump. You take California and New York out of it, and it's an ass kicking. He would have wiped the floor with Clinton. You get 55 free votes. 55 points for free. That's an advantage. Every election, every presidential election, the Democrats get 55 free votes. And there are people, you're talking about one man, one vote. The people in California are never represented on one man, one vote. Because the people who vote Republican in that state, they never win anything. They never win anything. And when it comes to the presidential, all 55 votes go towards the Democrats. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter the candidate. Doesn't matter how great the Republican candidate could ever be. Could be the savior of the world. California, 55 votes would go to Democrat no matter what. You take them out of the mix, or you split California up, where they're like Maine. 55 votes never come out of California then, and then every election the Republicans are going to win, because California, you only need 270. California gets you almost 25% of the way, or 20% of the way there, almost 20 off the get go. You throw in New York, and bada boom, bada bing. You're at like 25% of the vote for free. All you have to do is convince a few half of the rest of the states, and you win. And if you can't convince half of the rest of the states, which this time around, it didn't happen that way. If it would have went for Clinton, you'd be all happy right now, wouldn't you? Put in better candidates.